Welcome to DesignCast. Jason Reagan will guide you through the MYP design course like a pro. Stay tuned.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of DesignCast. And for this episode, I'm super excited to have Matt Zarb with us, and he's going to tell you all about his journey, about working in different parts of Australia and things like that. So Matt, thanks so much for being here.
No worries. Thanks for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And so let's just jump right into it. And can you just introduce yourself and talk a little bit about how your experiences led up to where you are now?
Okay. So Matt Zarb, I'm the head of design and technologies at Helena College. I have had an interesting journey into education. I started off as a pastor in a church and wanted to do youth work and kind of did that when I was younger, and then moved to WA from Sydney. So I grew up in Sydney, was there till I was mid-20s, and was married. My wife and I found out we were having our first child as we were moving across the other side of the country. Someone called us and said, "Here's a job. Do you want to have a look at it?" It was in a place we'd never heard of called Kalamunda, which is in the hills in Perth. And I spent 4 years there. Great time, some of the best times of my life, but also some of the hardest times of my life. We left everyone we knew to create a new place over there. I did that for a while. I struggled sometimes towards the end. It was quite tough, mentally and physically working in a church. It was just full on. And then moved in to become a barista. So I was a barista for a few years, which you do, and I loved. And then went back into the ministry for a bit and became a chaplain. I went into high school chaplaincy. So that kind of gave me that, that in the school kind of setting. I love that. That was a great thing. My first day, I've never been so scared in my life. I stuck myself in the office and just went, I don't know if I can do this because it's pretty scary out in that school. So, I learned a lot there, did that for probably 4 years, and towards the end just kind of went, I actually really like being in a school situation, so I can see what teachers do. That looks pretty easy. I'll give that a crack. Obviously, it's not as easy as it looks, but it looked easy when we were there. So I jumped back because I was only working part-time as a chaplain. It was 4 days a week. So that other day I studied and did a graduate diploma in education. So yeah, that's kind of where I got to. Then had the opportunity to actually do my prac in the school I'm in now. So I did prac here a couple of times, and at the end of the year got offered a job here, and I just went, no, I'm happy. That's amazing. So I've been here probably 12. This is maybe my 13th year now. Yeah. So that's kind of where we are at. We moved to WA, my wife and I said for 3 years, and it's been about 25 now. So, and our kids are older. My youngest child is in year 11. My oldest child he's just moved to Darwin as a teacher. So that's so the Darwin in the Northern Territory, right up the top end of Australia.
Yeah, I was in Darwin a couple summers ago. Well, summers for us, a couple of winters ago. And in the winter, it's like 38 degrees, which was kind of crazy.
It's quite hot. It's really hot up there. So
yeah, that's really cool. So he's following your lead, huh?
He actually is, yeah. He's anyone's first year of teaching is a tough year of teaching, but throw COVID into the mix and man, we've got to support our new teachers. It's just, he found out that he can't actually come back into the state at the moment, which is interesting. So he's working in the Northern Territory in school, and they've all just opened up their schools and it's business as usual up there. So that's working a treat for them. But it's been, the country in itself is different in different places. So, but new teachers, man, hats off to you guys this year. If you make it through this year, you'll make it through anything.
Wow, it's a true trial by fire this year, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's awesome. I love to hear that journey that you've been on, and I think it's really interesting to hear your different career paths and how it's led to who you are now. And I'm sure pastorally, you're excellent at the job that you do, and I'm sure you're excellent with technologies and design. And so you're the head of technologies and design. So could you tell me a little
Yeah.
bit about what that role is like?
Yeah. So in Australia, we have two strands of technologies. So we have digital technologies and we have design technologies. I'm a design technologies teacher. I'm a food teacher that's my thing. That's what I love doing. So that's kind of my area. So that product design thing is the thing that we do. Um, MYP design through 6 to 9. So that's kind of that design teacher. But the technologies thing is the WA curriculum. So 11 and 12, food tech becomes technologies in that. It's kind of the curriculum area it sits under in 11 and 12. So within that, we've got like a range of subjects. So I teach food tech. We teach dimensional design. We teach design engineering, digital technologies, and we teach a subject called innovation, which was something we came up with about 5 years ago. So we've been doing that for a while. That's kind of the school. Our school is probably a mid-range size school, about 850 students across K to 12. It's not a small school, but it's also not a massive school. So you kind of, on our campus, we know almost everyone. There are some students we obviously don't know as well as others, but it has that feel. We're in the hills. I could take you outside and show you, but the connection would just drop out and you just see nothing. So you're in my office at the moment, but outside there's lots of trees and it's kind of a bush setting. It's a really great campus, and anyone who comes up from Perth, they're just kind of, it's weird because people think we're in the country, but growing up in Sydney, it's half an hour to the city. It's not that far. So it's a interesting mix.
Yeah, it's all relative, isn't it, to how you grew up
Absolutely.
and the bubble that you were in and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. Absolutely. So how have your students handled having design and technology type classes? Do they enjoy them, or how does it work in your schedule? That kind of thing.
So we have most of our design technology subjects go from, I'll talk from upper school perspective. Year 6, we have year 6s on our campus, and they will do the range of stuff. So they'll do innovation, food tech, they'll do a bit of design, they'll do digital technologies. And they do that from 6 to 8. It's kind of, everyone has to do this, compulsory. Once they get into year 9, they start choosing them as elective pathways. And so those pathways then lead into our 11 and 12 courses. So year 11 and 12 will teach engineering, we teach food tech, we teach AIT. So, and the last one is that dimensional design subject. If I drop out, it's because of my internet, not anyone else's.
So yeah, so you just said AIT. I'm
But
not
yeah,
familiar
but
with
as
that.
far as so it's kind of a technologies, applied information technologies. It's a new course this year, but the government last year changed. So we have a thing called WACE, which is our West Australian Certificate of Education, and we had to do certificates to complete the WACE. So you do a Cert 2, like a trade certificate, and they took out that that need to happen for the WACE, and we kind of went, all right, so we're doing a Cert 2, and it's really hard to do certs in school. Like I just find it a really hard thing for us to do. So we ended up going, well, let's look at some other courses. We looked at computer science and we looked at AIT, and in some ways they're similar courses, but in some ways they're really different. So we kind of went, probably the most user-friendly of those two for us is the AIT course, because we don't have a specialist digital technologies teacher at the moment. So that's one of the areas that we need to look at and need to improve in. But as far as kids choose our courses and they love them. So that's they love the practical components. They love the actual hands-on putting stuff together. I mean, as a food teacher, who doesn't love eating?
Don't have to be a food teacher to love eating. I'm a
That's
prime
exactly
example
right,
of that. So tell me about some really exciting things that are going on. Is there anything you're really excited about? I know that AIT course sounds really fun. What else is going on that's sort of innovative? And you mentioned innovation as well. Maybe what is that a little bit about?
Yeah, so innovation, we looked at that as a year 6, 7. We actually got it thrown to us. It was, I want you to teach a subject called innovation. And we're like, okay, what does that mean? And we kind of went, well, you make it mean what you want it to mean. So we kind of developed the course. My thinking at that stage was I wanted it to be design cycle based, but I didn't want it to be a design cycle course. So there was no push for us to make it an assessed course as far as a summative assessment. So I went, all right, how can I teach kids design cycle in a way that kind of gets them to understand that framework, but gives them some scope to do anything that they want to do? So my thinking was it would lead to personal project or community project type thinking, so that project management. And so what we do, we use a bit of Lenny Dutton stuff, design. I get kids to pull things apart and kind of go, how does this work? How can we kind of, and so it's that looking at solutions that already exist and then adapting those solutions. So in year 7 now, look, we use a bit of Minecraft, we do a bit of coding, we do a bit of virtual reality, augmented reality. It's a range of what we do depending on what the cohort is and what the kids want to do. But that growth mindset thinking pushes through there, like challenging yourself, kind of going, well, I've got to this point and I'm stuck. And I'm like, well, I don't know what you're doing. So you've got to get yourself to the next stage. So, and it's good to see kids struggle in some ways to push themselves through that barrier. And some of the kids get quite anxious, or they get quite annoyed when you go, you know what, this isn't actually assessed. You're not going to get a grade for this. And they're like, but I put in all that effort and I've done all of this work and you're not going to give me a mark for it. And I'm like, but look how much you learned.
Yeah.
And they're
Welcome
like,
to the real world, man.
So we talk a lot about summative assessment and formative assessment. I'm like, I'll be formative assessment all the way through. Yeah, this is what you look. And so we do little, I call it a 3-question interview. And I'm like, where are you at? How can I help you get to the next step? And what are some of the struggles you're facing? And, how can we kind of work through that? And kids learn lots. They just don't get a mark at the end. And they sometimes frustrates them. I'm like, why are you so frustrated about this? I like it.
I like it too, man. I would rather not get a mark myself. my past marks, for example. Yeah. So that sounds really exciting. So
it is. Look.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's great. It is a great little subject. And every teacher that I have teaching it. So we have at the moment, I teach it, and probably I've got a science teacher teaching it, an engineering teacher and design teacher. So there's all different teachers who put a different spin on it. And that brings some great things because they know stuff that I don't know and I know stuff they don't know. And so all of our bits and pieces make these kids, it's just that rounded stuff. I think it's really good.
Absolutely. So, yeah. You mentioned Lenny Dutton. She was just on an episode recently. I don't know if you listened to it or not. And so, she's got a couple books coming out at the beginning of next year, which would be really great to have for that as well.
I can't wait to get my hands on those.
Yeah, those will be really good. She's great, man. And so what's funny is the last couple of episodes I've talked to folks about, we very formally discuss, design's sort of the epicenter of all the other subjects. And so to hear that these other subjects are, taking part is great, and I'm sure that then is infectious into other parts of the school.
Yeah, absolutely. And that big push for STEM thinking and STEM learning. I mean, that's what we've been doing. Like, we've just not called it that, or if we have, we just had, like, engineering. You just sit there and go, engineering is just all of that stuff anyway. So it's in STEM, and it's so it's funny. I had a conversation once with a teacher about STEM, and they said, yeah, STEM's really important, but maths is the most important part of STEM. They're a maths teacher, and I'm like, wouldn't have thought that, the whole point of this is that they're all working together, and it's kind of, it's that kind of conversation. But as a design teacher, we just bring in everything from everywhere, and we kind of feed it through that cycle. And I've no problem saying we'll take stuff from anywhere. Like,
Yeah.
I'll use anything from anyone.
Yeah. We beg, steal, and borrow as much as we possibly can and not reinvent the wheel where we can.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the vision for your design program. Like, what is it you hope to accomplish over time?
Yeah. So from my perspective, that the vision for design at the college, for me, it's always about helping kids to be creators over consumers of content. And one of the things I found, I guess, moving off campus is we're desperate to get stuff out there for kids. And so we'll put stuff out there so kids have got something to do, but we haven't really gone, what do we actually want them to learn from what we're giving them? So we're in that, push to get stuff online. And so the kids have got something to do. We haven't thought about what we're actually trying to get from them. And so we're kind of, in some ways, working a bit backwards. So my push is to see us as developers of content rather than consumers of content, to create stuff rather than consume. I would love STEM to be more than just an elective. Now, I love that it's an elective because people choose it, which is great for me. Sometimes it's not as important as something else. And you go, well, is it not as important? You're chosen this. You're the one that made this decision. So put in some effort or that kind of stuff. And look, that's kind of what I want to see from us. I see our school embracing technology in a way that solves problems. So a lot of times I see technology use and it creates problems. It doesn't solve many. And that's probably more in the implementation. It's just basically thinking through the use of technology in a helpful way that helps solve problems is kind of where I was thinking. What I want from teachers is I want them to take risks and try things, outrageous things in the classroom. And I'll back them. Like I want them to just have a go at something and go, look, I've got this idea. Let's try this, rather than just go, here's what we've always done. Let's just keep doing that because it's a safe option. And I expect that from my students. So my food students, some of those students in year 11 and 12 can do stuff that I wish I could do. And I love that, and I'll back that. So if they get it wrong, you know what? You had a crack and it didn't work. So what? That's not the end of the world. Let's try something different. Let's kind of move through that into some other, let's adapt or change it to make it work for our circumstance or our situation.
So can I ask you a follow-up question real quick? I didn't mean to interrupt you. Sorry.
No, good. No.
You mentioned that it's an elective. Where does that elective start? Does it start at grade 6 or what?
So 6, 7, and 8, they use it as they do most of the stuff. So I've gone through food probably 3 times, digital technologies 3 times, innovation 2 times. Design engineering is the only one that starts in year 8. But that's probably more because of the specialist equipment and the actual capacity of the classroom. Like it's timetables. So you can't. And I always used to hear this from principals. It's like, well, what do you want me to get rid of if I give you more time? I don't really care. Just get rid of something else, something that's not important. Because this is design. This is important stuff. So, and I'm being facetious, but it's that stuff that we try and fit in what we can. So year 8, we have. Year 9, they'll have electives, and depending on the cohort, sometimes some of those electives are super full, and some are less than full, and that's just it's. I think it comes down to the group of students that you've got, but engineering is always pretty popular. Food's always pretty popular. We also do some digital photography in 9 and 10, and some of that manipulation of images, and that they're always just pretty popular. So people love choosing our subjects. I love it because there's that practical component, I think, and that's that doing something, that creating something process. So that's kind of where I'm at. Part of my vision, I guess, for me as a head of department is that, look, I really think we are missing something without a digital technologies teacher within that learning area. So what's happened is when our previous teacher left, John, he was an amazing guy. He's gone back to Cairns, to his old school, which is Cairns is far north Queensland. It's couldn't be any further away from Perth. So I haven't forgiven him for that. I'll tell him every time I talk to him. But he left, and he actually, there was a big hole when he left, and so we just kind of replaced him with us as teachers. And there's no one really driving that digital technologies curriculum now. It's not my I can try, but I'm not a digital technologies guy. I read the curriculum for digital technologies and I go, I don't really know what some of that means. So that's kind of one area I really want to see someone leading through that area, that middle school. And that's probably a big push for me over the next year, I guess, or probably over the next 6 months. Given the current climate, it may be something I have to just wait a little bit about. There may be bigger priorities.
I heard that. Well, in all the schools I've been to Australia, oh gosh, half a dozen times at least, usually on IB business and things like that. And I've visited lots of schools, and it seems that the food tech and then the resistant material type product design type stuff is really, really high quality there. And it seems to have been part of the culture of schools for a long time, even before they were IB schools or anything else. Like, it's just always been sort of this can-do attitude. Is that do you see that to be the case?
Yeah, look, when we first started our IB journey, so I've only ever known MYP design as a teacher because I've not been teaching that long. And we started the journey when I started here. So we were looking at implementation then and looking at what that might mean for us. But in some ways I struggled with the concept from the early days, and it wasn't from IB, it was more from other schools and how they implemented it. And well, you've got to throw out all that stuff and you've got to do this. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense, because I need students to be able to learn something and apply that learning. I don't care what they know. I want them to show me what they can do with what they know. So don't just tell me it. Show me something you created from that. And so I guess that's my philosophy, is making students creators and showing me what that application of learning looks like. And so that, hearing other schools who I remember being told once that I got called an idiot by another teacher because I did group work. And I'm like, hang on a minute, that's not fair. And she just went, well, you can't do that. It's an IB thing. You're not allowed to do group work. And I'm like, I'm a new teacher. I'm going to go, really? I didn't realize that was part of the gig. No, I know. I know that now. But younger, less confident teacher, Matt, just listened and went, oh, really? Okay. So it's that kind of stuff that you've got to try and get people, I get it. I hear you're on that journey, but it was that prescriptive way of doing things that was it was hard to hear. And so from that, I've kind of bought into the philosophy that our collaboration, our design department, works it out together, and we look at things from a different perspective as different teachers and bring that uniqueness to go, here's what it looks like for me. And I go, yeah, man, I'd never actually thought that that's how you saw it. That's great, because now I can, and it's that playing off each other and working it out together that's the best part. I love that part. That's kind of one of the strengths, I think, of our team, is that we will always go, I think, I see it like this, and you go, I'd never actually heard that before until you said that. I'd never even thought of that. And that's gold. That's the gold that we need in schools, I think.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Yeah. So do you guys have any trouble getting materials and stuff out kind of in the countryside, or ordering fresh food for the food units and things like that? How hard is that for you guys?
Well, we're in Perth. We are classified as Perth. It's people from Perth that drive up the hill, because it's this hill. It's amazing. When I first moved to Perth, everyone went, oh, you're going to drive down that hill? And I'm like, what? It's just the hill. And it's literally, it might take you 5 minutes to drive down the hill. And they're like, no, but it's down the hill. It's this different world. And you're like, are you guys serious? Growing up in Sydney, it takes me an hour to get to the shops, and that's like 10 minutes, 10 Ks away. It was just this whole, yeah. So Um, but look, we didn't have any trouble getting food until like week 9 and 10 of last term, when the government put on all these restrictions. You know, you can only have 2 bags of flour, and so it was kind of like, we want schools to be run in the same way, but when you go to Coles to grab milk, you can only grab a 3-litre bottle of milk, and I'm like,
Well, yeah, I get it. It's been a hard couple of months with everything going on, and you can't run a school the way you used to run them until things kind of get back to normal. And who
yeah.
knows when that's ever going to be?
Well, they're saying at the moment that it's getting back to normal. So we're talking to suppliers, and we're at that point now. Look, we have some conflicting conversations that happen when governments say social distancing is a thing. You've got to make sure that that's really important and you abide by those rules, except if you're in the classroom. The classroom is different, and you're like, what is this safety thing in the classroom? And it's like, but you can't do group work. And I'm like, well, how do I do anything? Because do I say to half my class, you can't come in, and then you can't share equipment? And I'm like, well, I don't know how I'm going to do the things I need to do. And so I had this conversation at a department level yesterday, and I kind of went, if we're in, we're all in. We can't be part of the way in. We don't have, because as a food teacher, if I'm bringing students in and just going, look, I know you're in this beautiful kitchen classroom type thing, but all you're doing is writing, they're going to be like, that's anarchy for me. There'll be riots. So
Yeah, and I'm worried that's going to sap that passion that you're talking about from those students, is that it would immediately
100%.
just make them, just not at all interested. And then what's the point, right?
Exactly. And that, I guess that's one of the things, the frustrations that I see, and this is me as an older person, that with design cycle, is those kids that want to come in and start with the product in mind, and you're like, you don't even know what the problem is yet. You're trying to solve it without even knowing what and I'm so kind of, you've got to work out this and you've got to work out this, and they're just like, yeah, but I want to cook whatever and I'll make it work no matter what. And you're like, you don't understand so part of the push in there has been to develop so making students look at clients and work for clients within the school or within the community. That has been a great idea to get kids thinking outside of themselves. So you can still do what you want to do, but your focus is not you, it's else. And so that's one area that I'm trying to push in there. Yeah, but look, we will see what next week brings when students are back, but I just can't wait to have kids in the classroom and to kind of go, how are you? Like, what is going on and what has been going on?
I think we're all feeling that right now.
I'm looking forward to the time when I can ask a question, and if there's 30 responses at once, just go, hang on a minute, just stop, and I'll say it again, and then we'll ask the questions. But at the moment, my emails and my direct messages are pinging like nothing else, and you're just like, pew, pew, pew. We need to know this, this, and this, and you're all asking the same question, and it's just like, just stop. Anyone who thinks we're doing it easy working off campus is not a teacher.
No, they're not. They're definitely not. Well, listen, I know your time is valuable. I will have a few things I want to ask you. First off, where do you go to find inspiration? What kind of things do you look at and do for that?
Yeah, massive Twitter. I love Twitter. I spend a whole lot of time there. So many great educators across the globe with doing different things, and that collaboration. I think collaboration is one of those great things, and it happens on Twitter. So I'm part of the Australian leadership for the Aussie Ed Chat, which happens on Sunday nights. So that group of people, we are all in different states, but we work together really well to just make things happen. And we will just jump on issues and talk through issues and allow people to have, opportunities to share and talk and share resources and make connections. To me, that's one of those great areas. Used to love the design, the Google Plus group that we used to have, but that kind of Google Plus went its own way. And
it's
that
such a shame.
Yeah, it was. So Jon Spencer, I like a lot of his stuff. If you know anything about Jon Spencer, his design ideas and thinking, there's some great stuff out there that he has. Lenny Dutton, I've mentioned her before, but School, a book I read, I think last year, was called Building School 2.0, How to Create the Schools We Need. It's a great book. One of the things that I learned from that book was school is kind of like, there's ups and downs, but when you spread it out, it looks pretty flat. And it was just create this area, create something in there that this is the highlight. It's that peak for kids to kind of remember and to go, remember when we did this. And that kind of pushed me to go, I've got to challenge myself and my students to have that moment to go, remember when we were at school and we did this. And so we do that in probably year 12, my students they cater for a council dinner. And we used to cook just for the school council, which is about 12 people. And they cooked very technical stuff, but I kind of went, let's actually make this bigger and cook for parents as well as so we kind of invited all the parents for the class, and they end up cooking for about 50 people. And it's challenging because they're students, but they create such amazing stuff that it blows you away. So that's kind of where that came from. But lot of Twitter chats. There's a What is School chat that I try and get to on Friday mornings. That's great. But Friday mornings are also really busy for us at school, so you kind of jump in and out of those things. But anywhere I can get information from, like, that network of MYP educators across the globe is great, because we always will help out one another, and we'll always give one another resources. And that's, I think, only beneficial for our students.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, my heart was broken when the Google Plus group kind of crumbled, and we attempted to do all kinds of things to save it, but it was really hard with the way it was set up. It was hard to get member lists and all kinds of things. And so it was just really tough. And we tried to send out as many announcements to say, hey, join us here, do this or that. But if you haven't been on in a while, you would have missed it, and then it would have closed. And it's tough. And, as you know, there's only a few real pure design teachers out there that's what they started their career doing. A lot of people have been kind of thrown into it. And so people kind of come and go. There's a lot of turnover. So it makes it tough, but those are great options. Yeah. I know the What is School chat for sure. It's a really good one. And so if folks want to follow you on Twitter or any other way, what's the best way to get in touch with you, Matt?
Look, absolutely. On Twitter at MattoMan71. I love Twitter. I'm always on Twitter, maybe too much. That's probably an opportunity. If you want to reach out and talk more, email me, just send me a direct message on Twitter, and LinkedIn, I'm on there as well, but I don't really use that as much. Twitter's probably my go-to, but certainly if you need to email me, mzarb@helena.wa.edu.au.
I'll make sure to put that in the show notes. It's a lot easier to just read it.
I know. Zoom now, I think this is the way where Zoom meetings or the Google Meet stuff. It's that in some ways the things that have happened have created opportunities, and those opportunities are great because we are now doing things that we probably wouldn't have done because we've been forced to do them. So, and
I completely share in that sentiment. I absolutely agree with you on that.
Yeah. So that can only be a good thing moving forward, I think. So, but that's me.
Awesome. Thanks so much Matt for giving us sort of a view into the life that you guys have there. And it sounds really exciting. And I love to hear what other schools are doing and the journey you've gone through to get there, and also how you're coping with this situation with the school closure and then reopening. And for you guys, I know you had just started school for the year, and so I know it adds a little bit more frustration to that too, is that it's hard to get momentum after that. So thank you so much, man.
Yeah, no worries. No, thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much. It's been great to talk with you.